Well, good evening, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Now, I know that this does not have anything to do with the Dallas Cowboys, but I do want to talk about the Washington Redskins, who are under the gun right now. Breaking news out there is that 87 investment firms are actually talking with Pepsi Cola, FedEx, as well as some other sponsors of the Washington Redskins to put pressure on Dan Snyder to change the name. Because Pepsi, which is also the parent company that owns Aunt Jemima was retired in light of the new awakening of everything that's out there. And now these investors are looking and saying, you know what? It's time. It's time to change that name because it's been offensive to Native Americans. I say they can keep the name, but instead put a potato on there. The Washington Redskin potatoes. Thoughts? Come on. Thoughts? But in all seriousness, though, my wife always has this saying, when you know better, you do better. And understand what you may feel may be totally different than what somebody else may feel. And whether you like it or not, if there's things out there that offend you, you get kind of pissed off about it, right? And you don't want to see it, right? Well, like I always say, what's good for the goose is always good for the gander. And that's the way it is with some other people. So if you don't like certain things that people do that you don't like, that offend you, you don't want to see, well, that's the way it is with some other people as well. So I'm just trying to let you know how it actually works. I don't know that the Washington Redskins will, bend to the pressure because I know one of the thoughts was with one of the mayors that if they were going to build a new stadium in D.C. that the name would have to change. But I think D.C. is out of the mix on that one because the Redskins have on the ballot in Maryland a gambling license. And I would dare say a gambling license in Maryland trumps being the Washington Redskins in Washington, D.C. I'm just saying because it's all about the money. And Dan Snyder is definitely about the money, which is maybe the reason why the name changes from the Washington Redskins to something else. It's funny how the Redskins and Cowboys are tied together. And it goes back through history. And a lot of people, if it hasn't happened in your lifetime, then you don't care. But see, you always need to know your history, good and bad. And see, you have to understand why the Cowboys and Redskins rivalry really started. See, Chet Murchison wanted to have a football team in Dallas, in Texas. But it was Preston Marshall who did not want that to happen. See, Preston Marshall, the NFL integrated, started in 1949. Preston Marshall had the whole southern market, okay? He had the whole southern market, and he had the last team to actually integrate. And he wanted to keep it that way, that he had that, because it was about the money. You put a team in Texas, that's a lot of the fan base that you may be taking away. But Chet Murchison ended up buying the rights for the Redskins fight song, Hail to the Redskins, that piece of crap. He bought the rights to that song and held it hostage until Preston Marshall said, okay, you can have your team, I just want my fight song back. And that was the beginning of the Dallas Cowboys becoming in existence in 1960. They were brand spanking new. That rivalry continued throughout. George Allen took it to a whole nother level. Cowboys really were kind of like Redskins, and they're like a flea. But George Allen, who literally hated the Dallas Cowboys, George Allen wanted to actually go to midfield and have a fight one-on-one, him and Tom Landry. That's how much he hated the Dallas Cowboys. I remember, see, most of you are too young to understand this, but in the 70s and the 80s, before free agency, wow. You know, right now, off season, you see everybody out working out with everybody, you know? We cool. Just because you're on another team don't mean anything. You get players out there that say, I'm here to help this team. They don't take ownership of it. But see, back in the 70s and 80s, if you were drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, you were a Dallas Cowboy. If you were drafted by the Redskins, you were a Redskin, and pretty much your whole career. And that, my friends, built the rivalry because you were playing against a team, and it used to be Redskins and Cowboys. The Giants and the Eagles, meh, nothing. They were fleas. Each one of them were in each other's way, and you knew the guys on that team, and you hated them. And it was literally war on the field. You know, if you've got time and you're missing sports, go back and look at some of the NFL films used to have like Crunch Course. Go back and look at some of the footage of the Doomsday Defense. Half of the hits you see back in those days are illegal today. You think guys get jacked up now? No. It was a different sport back then. Right now, though, I'd be happy for anything on the football field. I got my doubts. We already know that the Hall of Fame game is canceled. Week 1 of the preseason and week 4 is canceled. We have NFL teams that instead of having 90 people go to camp are looking at 75 to 80. We know that teams are looking to travel on game day to the games and not stay at a hotel and fly back out. We know basketball is reporting on Monday. Baseball will as well. And it'll be key to see how these leagues do. We better hope and pray that basketball can get through the season and baseball can too. Because if basketball in a bubble and baseball doing hub cities, if they can't make it through the season, there's no hope for football. This corona thing, man. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the amount of people that I know that are no longer here. And this shit ain't over. I hope you've gotten the message that you have an effect on this thing by doing a couple of simple things. Wash your hands, please. Keep a distance and wear a face mask. I don't know about you. I'm sick and tired of social distancing, of not being able to go do things that I used to do. But I also understand that there's only one way to get back to those things. And that's time and doing the right thing. And the sooner we all get to that, the sooner we all get to that, then the better we're going to be. Yeah, I hope in October we see the Redskins versus Cowboys. I'm Mark Holmes, and well, I got to go feed the fishies. I'll see you guys first thing in the morning. Be safe and wear a damn mask, please.